Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Can everybody hear my voice and see my screens okay? I'm still standing, better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. How are you guys? There's a bunch of you knuckleheads here today. Who do we got? I'm going to put my Darth Vader hoodie on so things look a little more nefarious. I'll put the Vader hoodie on and my computer blue light glasses. How about that? Does that help anything out at all? Tamp down the insanity. Salute. What's up, George? Quick shout outs. Alpha, good to see you. Brian, let's scoot you on over. And hey, Brian, if you get a chance, why don't you turn your microphone on, and we can actually navigate this webinar together, if you don't mind. We could do it like a morning talk radio show. You can be here for the color commentary. The hood does cut down on the glare. Jerry, thank you. Thank you for the self-esteem, for the bolstering of my confidence. You're awesome. Yeah, these help sometimes. Some days, wow, that's a big difference actually. Hey Tim. Yeah, let's go back with that. Is there anybody here today who is someone who doesn't own the software? Let's start out. We'll do something a little bit unconventional today. If you're here today and you do not own the software, A, what markets should I study today? And then B, what time frames? So for example, you might say NQ on a 5-minute chart. Hey, Darcy. Darcy, what's up? What's up? So Darcy said 15 minutes, 15 minutes CL. All right, so we got one taker, CL, 15-minute chart. David, good to see you. ES 3 and 5 minute. Okay, Dave, we'll definitely take a look at that. Any other? Sup? Any other takers? We've got CL 0121 and the ES 3 and 5 minute. Hey, Chin. Chin says, if you could please help me decode the NQ 2-minute chart, the E-mini NASDAQ, that would be wonderful. Earl says, how about pumpkin futures? We could definitely take a look at that. Chin says natural gas too, which is what? NG? I don't remember the symbol for natural gas. If you could remind me, it's been a while since I plugged that one in. We could definitely take a look at that. Thank you, Chin. Anybody else? Jason says, Jason, you have the software. What are you doing? There's always one customer who has the software and says, hey, how about you check this thing out? ZN 5 minute? Yeah. Absolutely. We can take a look at that, Jason. because your last name inspires me. Jason Justilina. No one disrespects Jason Justilina. Yeah, me too. All right. Hey, let's get started. We're here today. My name is Michael, obviously. We've covered that territory. There used to be a lot of hair here, and I could see better, and now my glasses are thick. I have a perpetual twitch in my left eye, under the lid and over the lid. And this April coming up, I will be 50 years old. And so I've learned a lot. As my brain gets bigger and I learn more things, I discover that the stuff all around the brain is falling apart. Anyone else in that same boat? With wisdom, there's a counterbalance. There's a price to pay. The more you learn, the more feeble you become. And so one of the things that we do really well here, Earl says it's been happening to him since day one. One of the things that we do really well here is we study time. And we've built an entire suite of tools for traders and investors, forex, futures, equities, options, cryptocurrencies, whatever you have a data feed for with your NinjaTrader platform. We can train our program, our indicator, to go back historically into the past and then analyze when specifically institutions are pushing prices higher and either suppressing them or pushing them lower. We believe now, almost 12 years in business now, 4.7 rating out of 5 with our customers, thousands of customers now over the last decade plus. We've learned and believe that institutions and banks are, to coin a phrase from the 80s, getting away with bloody murder. How many of you are sick and tired as we come into the end of the year? We had 700,000 plus new unemployment claims. We're about to hear about the bonuses, right? How many of you know the bonus articles are about to start coming out? We're going to hear about one Wall Street firm's bonuses. Another bank had record profits this year. Another bank had record profits this year. And so while billions of dollars were being distributed for paycheck protection programs, institutions were charging arms and legs and fees and all sorts of things, moving money around to their biggest customers, the corporations. And we're just kind of sick and tired of it. We live in a volatile world. We live in a volatile time. And it seems like when people are hurting and trying to earn an honest living, no one really holds the banks accountable. And so what we do is quite different in that if banks are consistently earning money, if these investment firms are continuously racking up the profits, then we've decided as a development team, as engineers now with 40 plus years experience, we're not going to track them with conventional tools. We're not going to use standard technical indicators like RSI and volume and divergence and structure and waves and all this fun stuff. At one point, you wake up and you realize 95% of people that are using these tools and going to the webinars with the free trials and the supposed guru with all the experience and the Lamborghini and the trophy wife and the West Palm house, enough. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard. And so we study the people who move the markets. We're going to follow the people who make the money. We're going to look for patterns and behaviors in the past and see if they recur, if they repeat themselves. That's it. James, you can reach out to Rachel. She's got the workspace for today. Anyone who needs the workspace for Thursdays that's a customer, please email Rachel and she'll get you a copy. So here we go. How do we accomplish this? Before we look at CL and ES and NQ and pumpkin futures, how do we accomplish proving to Darcy and Chin and our buddy up top here? Let me pull this up. Turn our camera off. You've been tortured enough. To David and Darcy and Chin, how do we prove to them that this is real? Well, we do something very unique that no other company in the world does. And I can say that because after a decade, we've never found someone who does this. On Tuesday, every week, we publish a web page and we email that out. And Chin, you had a copy. David, you got a copy. Everybody here has received a copy. If you're not an existing customer, we send an email out to everyone who said it was okay to send emails out to them. And that email goes out on a Tuesday. And so every Tuesday, we send that email out. And it has the forecasts for Wednesday and Thursday. And so we're going to first take a look at that email and what was included inside of it. So David, Darcy, Chin, this link led to a page that specifically told us what to look for the E-mini S&P, for crude, for gold, for the NASDAQ, for the DAX, for the 6E, for the YM, the euro dollar, and the pound dollar. And so we had that information for Wednesday and for Thursday. Does that make sense? We had it in advance. And we're going to go back and take a look at what actually took place at those times and directions to see whether or not the banks were playing games with the market. Because if we can tell you when in advance they're supposed to do something, and they actually do the thing, then how important was the news? How important is the report that comes out for unemployment? How important is any of it? What if it all turned out to be a distraction? Well, before we continue and take a look at that, I want to take a look at the longer term charts that we've been studying. Because every week in the first 5 or 10 minutes or so, we review what the software has been warning us about for popular equities, forex pairs, and index funds. So the first market that we look at every week, how many of you remember what the software was warning us about for Tesla? Elon Musk, the original Iron Man. Does anyone remember the date that the software warned us to look for a spike in prices? Well, if you can read, that date was right here, November 6th. And so according to the software, we were waiting from November 6th until December 7th for an increase in prices. That information comes to us in advance. You can see sitting on the right-hand side of my screen are the dates warning us when the people who push Tesla prices higher are expected to do it again. And so here's the wonderful thing. If you've been following us now for weeks and weeks and weeks, you know that Tesla could have just as easily lost value from the 6th forward. That white line is our stop line. If it goes below that white line, all bets are off. Now, it didn't. How high did it go? Well, there was a lot of news. And when you type Tesla spikes rise, Tesla is poised to surge another 16% among signs it will use its lofty stock price to raise money. Wow, They announce they want to be on the S&P. Newsflash, completely out of the blue, right? No. I told you last week. I've been warning you for weeks what was going to come. And from that point forward, the price of Tesla has risen $80. $80. So each of our calls so far have been 53, 117, 150, 74, 32, and now we're up to 80. Okay, now, how far is it inclined to move? How far is Tesla inclined to move? Well, based on the size of the moves in the past, at every one of the prior up moves, especially the last 3 or 4, we can see or get a sense of how large a move is expected between now and December 7th. And all I have to do is kind of pull this over, and we went over this last week. You can see that we're just at the upper threshold of this third line, which just so happens to be a retest of the high, which we said to look for last week. Up here is about as much as we can expect, which is $591 approximately between now and December 7th. It's not something we have to go back and change or update. These webinars are recorded and documented and archived every week. So that's what's happening in Tesla. We're the only company on Earth that can provide those sort of leading signals in the future. We were watching for a small move up on the 13th of November in the euro dollar. We've talked about how these moves in the past have been small because we're topping out in a consolidation pattern right here. On the daily chart from the open of the 13th until right now, the market has moved up 87 pips straight up off of the open of the candle on the 13th. We have until the 24th for the euro US dollar, according to the indicator, which measures the patterns of the past and projects them forward into the future for us to be aware of. So David, Darcy, Chin, does that make sense so far? The program tells us in the future what to most likely expect based on the behavior patterns that recur in the past. Are you following so far? Good. Okay. Last but not least, the E-mini S&P, which has been fun to watch. Remember, we drew all those yellow lines on there. And I want you to see that we've hit the top of the first rectangle, but we have not hit the top of the second rectangle yet, which is 3705. 3705 is the top of the second rectangle, which is what we're expecting between now and December 7th. Okay, so we're inside that buying pressure window, similar to the past buying pressure windows that we've been monitoring on this chart. The last one on September 28th opened at 32.81 3/4, and it went as high as 35.37 1/4. And then we sort of see what happens at each of these buying pressure times between the signal and the counter trend reversal. And so we took all of those values and all of that information and we plugged it in over here to see reasonably what we could expect between now and December 7th. My expectation is that the news will announce some wonderful thing, that they've invented a new soda pop. When people fart, gold doubloons fall out of their body. And the market will shoot up and everyone will say, wow, that was really a surprise. We never saw that coming. You and I know, excluding the soda pop fart coins, that prices were expected to go higher, and for how long. Okay, so that covers 3 of the biggest markets. And if we want to check other stocks that are tracking, for example, with Robinhood, one of the ones we've been following is Alibaba. We're currently in a buying pressure window on that. It's below our moving average. However, the window is extended from November 16th until December 10th. So we have quite a large window here for Alibaba to continue higher. And then the next buying pressure window is on December 25th, okay, just before Christmas. Are there any other equities or longer term charts that you guys want to look at before we leave the end of day / weekly predictive portion of the demonstration? Anybody? We're actually in a congestion period in gold right now. If you look on the chart, we've had 3 signals back to back in a row. And so we have a buying window from 11:18 until 11:30. There's about a 12-day window for prices to rise higher. My expectation is that they will come and trip this stop right here at the 1846 level. They'll suck people down into that low, and then they'll shoot it higher. Okay, great. We will, what is it, BTC 1220. Let's see if we load that up, what happens. So George, here's the Bitcoin analysis. We've never looked at it. The last signal was on November, what does that say? November 11th. So the buying pressure signals are where I'm drawing these white lines. The next one extends until the 23rd. Let's go ahead and paint that one blue. So we have a few more days, really just around Thanksgiving time. So George, if we looked over the last couple signals, we would have been long in Bitcoin from September 21st until October 5th. We would have been long in Bitcoin from October 8th, it looks like, until October 14th. And then George, you know the puncture trade by now, right? As soon as it broke through that blue line, we would have been long with a stop below the candle until the next signal, which for Bitcoin would have gotten us to 14.15. And then the last signal in Bitcoin, George, the software was warning us to look for a move from November 2nd until November 23rd, and that's $4,700 so far. 4,700 move up is pretty substantial. But we knew about it. Owning the software allows you to see what the institutions are likely planning at a certain time. And the fact that we can sit here week after week, month after month, look at the dates in advance, and then arrive there is really, I think it's miraculous. Now, let's take a look at some signals. So who asked about the ES today? That was Dave, right? Let me come back and check that out. Hey, Dave. So one of the things we want to look at based on the predictions, let me make sure the settings are correct so they match what I sent out. Yep, 7:14:8. These are the times that we were expecting things to happen today on the ES. And I'm going to go back and put the histogram on so we can compare. TachEon time warp, TachEon time warp panel. Here comes the bottom half of our chart. So Dave, on here, what I'm going to do really quickly is just look at the times we were expecting something and then put an arrow next to the times where the thing we were expecting took place. Okay, let me show you what I mean. So 3:35, we were expecting buying pressure at 4:05. We were expecting selling pressure at 6:05. We were expecting buying pressure at 7:25. We were expecting selling pressure at 8:30, buying pressure at 9:35, selling pressure at 10:45, and then buying pressure at 12.55. And then Dave, at 225, the selling pressure did not fulfill its promise. And then at 330, the buying pressure did fulfill its promise. Jeez Louise, whose cell phone is that? My wife likes 80s television shows, and one of her favorites is Airwolf. So I apologize for that, but it makes her happy. So David, what do you think of that so far? If we were able to publish those times that early and then arrive at that point in the future, there's something shifty going on, right? There's definitely something shifty going on. Because here's the deal. Can you see, Dave, where I gave those times in advance right there? And I'm sure you checked it out. I'm sure you were looking. 8:30, 9:35, 10:45. Now, here's the crazy thing. Dave, today was the unemployment claim report. It was a big deal, right? The kind of news that moves the market. So 700 plus thousand people. Now, Dave, how much did that news report affect what people were going to do today in the E-mini S&P throughout the Asian, London, and US session? How much did Chuck Schumer's announcement they were going to work together to get the COVID relief out the door affect the times that the market was expected to go up or down? Doesn't look like it really affected it, did it? Right? Kind of looks like they had a plan. It kind of looks like they had a plan. Okay. Now, let's go take a look. At yesterday's E-mini S&P. We'll look at the different time frame. Here's a 3-minute chart, right? So one of the charts that I gave you was a 5-minute. Now we're going to test yesterday. Here's the 3-minute chart. Let's go back and see what we were expecting and what took place. Now, this is going to look bananas for a second. Here's the morning, here's the Euro session and the US morning session. Dave, without me drawing arrows all over the screen, can we assume that for the Euro and AM US session, that the banks more often than not had a plan to push prices higher or lower and basically be on the opposite side of almost every trade every retail trader took? I want you to think this through. If we were able to uncover the times and directions the day before, 2 days before, if we were able to uncover that, it means they're doing something completely above and beyond fundamentals. They're not responding to news. They're not responding to reports. They're not responding to anything. They're rigging the market. They're fixing it. This is the one instance where you're going to hear somebody talk about rigging when it's true. I'm the only person on TV right now who's got proof of rigging and cheating. It's right here. Dave, look at the afternoon yesterday. Remember that big giant sell-off? You could put your ear close to the screen and hear people. Ah! Well, what if we knew in advance? we would know to sell short at 130 and to hold that until 218. We would know to sell short at 315 and to hold that until 333. We would know to go short at 357 for 2 candles and hold it until 403. What is that? $8, $13, $21, $26 in 3 trades. Dave, you knew the exact time, and it ends up being approximately $1,000 per contract. In how long? 1:30 to 4 o'clock in 2.5 hours. So Dave, what are we doing? What are you waiting for? There's the proof. You're being cheated. You're being rigged. They are stuffing the ballot box filled with orders. By the way, if you're ever unsure as to whether or not they actually do it, you can actually look here. Here's what cheating looks like. JP Morgan settles near billion-dollar lawsuit. Let that number rattle around in your brain, Northcott. Billion-dollar lawsuit spoofing the futures markets. This is the one they got caught with, the metals market. You know what spoofing is? They make orders appear that aren't really there. It's like making votes appear that aren't really there, right? Only they actually found the proof. You know how we know that it's true? Because we caught them cheating. Now, if we go back and we look at the ES for today, here's the banana thing. This is the part that's bananas. Dave, Chin, to the right of this dotted white line are the signals in the future. All right, Chris. Chris has an article here that he wants to share with you guys. Let me see if I can get it loaded here, brother. Chris wants us to look at this. Ex-trader who pleaded guilty to forex rigging now makes $400 an hour advising clients who are suing banks that manipulate forex markets. I should get in that gig. I might have a new career. I gotta go, guys. See you later. Here's the link to that article. So Dave, the cool part is we already know the times in the future for the next week. I have the times for tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. They're already waiting for me. It's how I'm able to give you those times in advance. And the guy who asked earlier, no, I don't have to change the settings. Eric, I don't have to change the settings. I use the same settings for these webinars every week. I never change them. I never change them. And so it kind of begs the question, right? If we can know the times and you choose not to, is what you're doing really trading or gambling? And that's a lofty, that's a pretty big question to lob out there, right? I'm not accusing anybody of gambling. But here's the deal. I told you 2 days ago, time and the direction. We see this play out, and people will leave this webinar. David, you and Chin and our other guests here that want to look at these signals will leave this webinar, and the 3 of you will probably not purchase this product. Statistically, the odds of you accepting what you're seeing, pretty slim to none. And so I'm okay with lobbing that question out there. It's an important one. The stakes are pretty high, if you ask me. And so I want to be as truthful as I can. All right. So we know Dave's market's rigged and he's screwed. Let's take a look at, I'm not going to do pumpkin futures yet. I am going to look at CL on a 15-minute time frame. But before I do that, I want to look at CL on a 3-minute time frame. Now, who asked me that question? Chin? Was that you? Let's see how Darcy, let's see how screwed you are. So one of the times, one of the markets that I gave the times out for in advance was crude. And so when we come back and look at the signals, we have 2 days worth of crude signals on a 1 and a 3-minute chart. So Darcy, the highest time frame I have to reference for the forecast is a 3-minute chart for you. Okay? So when I look at the signals here on the screen for today and last night, can I say with any form of reasonable certainty that we knew most of the time when banks were going to try to push higher and lower? So I have to earn the credibility with you, right? I can't say that I'm an expert. I can't do any of the things that the normal shysters do where they kind of burn their way into your trust with some false promises, right? If I come here and I just look and see, when did the software warn us to look for prices to go higher and do all these wonderful things, right up to and including the close? Darcy, am I okay, and do I earn your trust enough to say that we knew 60, 70% of the time when the moves were coming before they got there? Yes or no? Okay. So now, the first thing I'm going to do, because you don't trade a 3-minute chart, that probably drives you crazy, you don't have time to be at the computer, I want you to see that I'm not going to change the settings on this chart. Okay, I'm going to leave them the way they are. The only thing I'm going to do is increase the time frame. Let me get rid of my drawing tools. Okay. So now I pull this back. And I want you to see I'm stretching it out into the future, right? There's 8:30 tonight. Are we still in that 60 to 70% window? So this morning on the 15-minute chart, we were looking for an up move at 7:30. We were looking for a down move from 10:45 to 11:45. From the open of 11:45 until 1:30, the market finished higher than it started. And then Darcy, that signal there was no bueno. But then I want you to come back and look at the other signals. Look at it in the composite of the statistics of the model. These dots are drawing based on the time patterns, not where the pivots actually occurred. Okay, and as I go back in time, can you see where those signals are coming in most of the time? I'll do a composite so you can see them all together on the same chart. This is an uncomfortable moment for Darcy. Right now, there are 100 questions running through their head. They usually sound like this. If the software is so good, why is he selling it? I want to see an audited track record of all of their trades. He should have a trophy wife and a beautiful house. I don't understand. I know that the times were in the future and he showed me what happened, but there still has to be a trick to all of this. Do the times ever change? Do they repaint? Do they disappear? Do they reappear? I swore myself that I would never buy another indicator. Why am I even trying to trade anymore? Any of those questions going through your mind? Probably one or two of those. Yeah, right. But I earned the credibility because I told you in the future what the prices of crude would do on a 1-minute time frame. How did I fake that? I can't change the times once the pages are updated. I can show you the web log that shows when the publish page took place, right? Let's come here real quick. See if I can actually do that. Wouldn't that be a fun exercise? I know it's kind of boring for you, but it's fun for me. Not that it should matter to any of you, and you probably think I'm lying if I say it, but I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm the father of an Eagle Scout. My youngest son is on his way, and we're actually going camping this weekend, and it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit where we're going up the road. And so one of the things that I try to do with these webinars is I try to do them in a way where you believe what I'm telling you. So I'm trying to be honest. Right now, I know that scouts are getting sued for all sorts of wonderful, nefarious Catholic Church type stuff, but we were taught to be honest, to be courteous, to treat people with respect, right? And so, Darcy, I want you to see that the software is telling us in advance when the market you trade is likely to go up or down. Now that's with a default setting, right? I haven't changed anything. I haven't optimized it. I haven't done anything. And you see as we go further back and further back and further back that these really big moves, including the report on Wednesday, we knew about the directions in advance. And so, again, if you can know the times in advance and you choose to ignore them in the future, are you really trading or are you gambling? Now that you know that it's possible. Let's take a look. We're going to skip pumpkin futures for a second. Let's go over to the NQ and we'll put it on a 1 minute chart. Chin, does it look like the NQ today was following a plan into the afternoon? What do you think? If you just look at the signals real quick on a 1 minute time frame. This afternoon, right up to the webinar, were we able to know within a 60 to 70% window of accuracy when the banks who spoof and rig and cheat with the markets were going to push the NASDAQ higher and lower? Very precise, right? And now as we kind of come back into the morning session, look at that. Hey, Bruce, how did they coordinate? So, Bruce, that's a very dangerous question. First, I want to impress the socks off of Chin. Can I do that first? I have a theory. Most people don't like my theory, but I have a theory. So, Chin, how about this morning? A little more impressed? We keep adding to it, right? There's from the open through lunchtime. What is happening? Why? I gave you the times 2 days ago. Chin is going, I wasn't expecting this. Where am I going to get the money for this? I don't know why I'm trading. I should have been a firefighter like my dad, and I would have had a pension, and everything would have been good. I can't believe I got a dog. That dog eats so much food. If I didn't have the dog, I could probably afford this indicator. All these questions start going through your head because you see for the first time how institutionally corrupt the markets really are. You're seeing for the first time how a chubby bald guy with weird glasses in the third-story attic of his house in a room that's kind of weird published the times and directions in advance. You didn't know what markets these guys were going to pick. I didn't know. I didn't know. And yet, when we come here and see what percentage of the time were we able to intercept the signals in advance? What percentage of the time were we able to know when the banks were going to push higher and lower? When could you have known to look for longs and look for shorts and look for longs and look for shorts and look for longs? How could you have possibly known in advance, right? Yeah. I got a guy who's been following the NQ signals for 2 weeks. Chin, he's seen this for 2 weeks now. After 2 weeks, you know what he said? Can I see it for 4 weeks? And that turns into, can I have the trial for a month? And I don't give it to people because those people will never change. They're addicted to losing. How many of you know you can be addicted to a bad behavior? Don't raise your hands. You don't have to admit it. I'll admit it. How many of you have ever been addicted to something that wasn't good for you and you couldn't stop it? Could institutions create that type of dynamic where you're so used to losing that the thought of winning and making money consistently horrifies you, paralyzes you in a moment like this? So, Bruce, would you like to know a sliver of my why? A sliver of it, without me going too crazy. I'm going to show you something, Bruce, that's a hint of crazy. And I can't go too deep into the algorithms of it all and share too much, but I'm going to show you a little bit about the why. Here's my thesis statement that I believe I've proven in other avenues beyond this webinar and this demonstration. Here's my thesis. Humanity is hardwired to respond to natural vibrations in their environment linked to energy sources that are predictably variable. Institutions have known about this correlation for over a century and take advantage of this physiological, psychological Achilles heel. Now, Bruce, what does that mean? Well, check it out. I'm going to show you something that I don't understand why it isn't on every web page of every financial website in the world. It is the law of vibration, yes, but we're going to show Bruce a sliver of it. How predictable are markets? So Bruce, have you ever heard of a company called Apple? A guy with a turtleneck sweater, pair of blue jeans, tortured a bunch of engineers to put all the songs in the world in the Matchbox device. Okay. I want to show you how predictable the prices of Apple move. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to load a template for a chart, and I'm going to give you the secret. I'm going to give you a secret. And this will be a sliver of the theory as to why. So I'm going to come over here, and now I'm going to make one change and turn off all but 2 of the signals. Right here. There we go. Right there. Okay, Bruce, what tends to happen at the green dots? Most of the time. More than 60, 70% of the time. What tends to happen at the red dots? The opposite, right? I don't want to patronize you. Okay, now here's the cool part. Ready? Every one of the green dots is a first quarter moon phase projected 3 days before the event. Every one of the green dots is a first quarter lunar phase applied 3 days before the physical astronomical event. Okay, tell me if you understand. Every one of the little red dots is a third quarter lunar phase, similarly projected 3 days into the future, not 1, 3. So if the third quarter phase is on October 30th, it plots on the 27th. Bruce, what's going on? Why does that happen? Let's take a look at the E-mini NASDAQ with those same signals. With the exception of this last little fun run right here, where Bruce had hung on for nearly a week before it dropped away. How reliably it has an effect, right? So let's go back to my original theory. Humanity is hardwired to respond to natural vibrations in their environment that link to energy sources which are predictably variable. Gann referred to this as the law of vibration. Institutions have known about this correlation for over a century. Well, how do we know that? Well, let's take a look. Banks know something about you that you don't know about you. And they take advantage of that weakness before you know what's happening. Let me show you what I mean. There he is. Can you read what JP Morgan said almost 130 years ago? Bruce, why would he say that? He's the richest man on earth at the time, right? In America, at least. How ridiculous is for him to say, millionaires don't use astronomy, billionaires do. What did he know about us? Did you know that about yourself, Bruce, that you're inclined to be risk-taking? You're inclined to be in a purchasing mood? You're inclined to take chances with your equity because of the size of the moon in the sky. So Bruce, you're obsessed with the why. So here I'm going to speak honestly to you because I have your attention for a few minutes. I've spent the last hour showing you the what. And the what is 60 to 70% accurate. And so the bridge to the why question is usually a dissuading argument. You know what that means? You talk yourself out of it. Yeah. So there are two theories based on that, Bruce. I'll share them with you, and I actually believe it's the latter versus the former. I believe humanity as a whole is predictable, and the timing of our foibles can be known. Wars, recessions, depressions. I believe that banks manipulate prices just before these turns in energy cycles for profit. Some of our customers do too. There's an overarching theory. If you're an intellectual like me, I'm beginning to wonder now with products like my Force tool, are banks in humanity to a certain extent predestined at these times to move in concert? In the same way that a hummingbird knows to travel to Mexico, thousands of miles from my bird feeder. Okay? We can go really deep down that rabbit hole. So Stanley wanted to ask, hey Stanley, what do we do? How do we know when to get in? So Stanley, in each of these cases, this is on a daily time frame. Can you see where the dots are? I don't have the dot at the right distance on this chart. Let me go back and change it to a variation of the ATR. So instead of that, we'll do -5, -500, and then +500. So in these cases, let's go back. Yeah, we'll take a look at the NQ. Stanley, in this case, one of the systems that we teach says when the candle closes, we go long and we hold it till the next signal. So there's a $4.50 move. I trade signals in the direction of the trend, and Stanley, at the close of the candle, I enter and I hold it until the next opposite signal when selling pressure is about to start. At 10:53, I get in at the close of the candle and I take my loss. It hit the stop line, which is a variable of the ATR, average true range. And then Stanley, at 11:18, I enter and I get out by the opposite counter trend signal, 11:32. Does that make sense? 11:49, just before lunchtime, I try again. They go down too deep for me, and I exit with a 9.75 loss. So 5, 30, 60, 50, 40. Across those 5 trades, that would equate to $800 per contract. Does that make sense, Stanley? If the market has already started moving in that direction, it becomes a question of risk management. Yeah, so Stanley, there are 2 groups of traders that use our software, those that have existing systems and those that have no system whatsoever. And so, Stanley, those that have no system, I teach a basic kindergarten level entry with trend system. Enter at the candle, the close to the close of the next time with a stop below the line, below or above the line. But Stanley, some customers have existing systems. So I have customers using this with fibs, with volume, with divergence, with Renko bars, or tick bars, or range bars. That works on all 3 of those, by the way. Divergence. Let me shut my ugly mug off here. I have customers that are using it with candle patterns. You don't have to use the basic system. Absolutely, Bruce. And you're the guy that I'm speaking to. You don't have to use my trend entry system. Stanley, there are customers that elect not to use a trend entry system. They look for tops and bottoms. So Stanley, check this out. We can take away the trend element. Let's take the trend line away instead of a 120 EMA. I have a new version of the software, so it's hard for me to find where that is. I'm probably looking right at it. Where's the moving average on here? Oh, there we go. Remove. Hit apply. Now, Stanley, I'm going to come over here and put a Bollinger Band. Do you know what a Bollinger Band is, brother? Some people don't, so I have to ask. Yeah, so Stanley, I don't want to bookend you into believing that this is a system, when in actuality these are signals. So Stanley, some customers will put a MACD on their chart. Let's go ahead and do that. This is how the earliest customers traded with the software. Yeah, perfect. See, you know that I'm not trying to jerk you around here then. So Stanley, they'll watch for signals at the extremes only if there's divergence. So Stanley, over here, there's no divergence, right? There's none. Over here, there's no divergence. At 11:18, guess what's creeping into the picture? So at 11:18, Stanley, you could elect to take a long down here near the lower Bollinger Band. And what we're saying is hold it now until the opposite signal. You have a window of time determined by the statistical behavior patterns of the people who push the market, instead of, I don't know how long to hold this. Yeah, and now Stanley, watch what happens when we get to the next signal. I have really big divergence from here to here, and then from there to there. And so Stanley, in this case, I can hold the trade. I'm right at the line, and I can hold it till the next signal at 11:49, which happens to be at the lower band. So if you got in here and you held it to there, that's a $38 move, and this is a $20 move down. Okay, we start coming down into 11:49. 11:49, there's no divergence. It should be going up. So I can't take the 11:49 signal. No bueno. I come up into the 12:13 high, which is even higher. But Stanley, look, it's even lower. So when I see the struggles up here, can I go short? It doesn't touch my band. So I don't know what you would do, but if you did go short, you hold it until 12:33. So your biggest challenge disappears. Now your biggest challenge disappears because you have this little fakakta thing on the bottom, and it's telling you out into the future how long the windows are. It's telling you how long the windows are. And so Stanley, some customers won't take trades where the lines are very close. John Perez writes, I will send you an email tomorrow to clarify some doubts that I have. Okay. Goodbye, John. I'm so tired of doing this, but I do it. And then John, Stanley rather, do you see how some of the signals have more space between them? Look how some of the lines are closer, and then you'll see some of them are spread out more. And so what some customers have learned is that the areas of the market where the spaces are larger, there are more opportunities for the market to develop a trend and run. So if you've ever wondered, how do I know what chop looks like? Stanley, on this chart, and this is advice for some customers too, do you see places like over here where the lines get all close together for a while? Like right here? That can be an indication that the market is historically consolidating in that span of time, right? As we come back, Stanley, you see that little cluster right there and what happened over here? When the gaps were bigger, like here, you not only knew how long to hold the trade, but you knew that the trade had a longer period of time to move and in what direction to look for the trade. So yeah, this will absolutely solve that. That's a great question, by the way. Brilliant question. This does work with forex. If you were wondering, here's a shot of the Great British Pound US dollar. Is the handout from me? Yes. So Bruce, there's some important information in there about some advanced signals that the software will actually print for you. But I don't want to go into the advanced stuff in the beginning webinar because it throws some people off. So the one that I want you to read is called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Histograms. And that one will actually explain a lot of some of the advanced signals that are on here, but we're not going to go that deep here today. Okay, so just to reevaluate where we're at, we are the only company in the world for traders who are in the futures, forex, cryptocurrency, equities markets that tell you over here when and what direction institutions are most likely to push. Hey, Melissa, I see my daughter on Monday night next week. I am thankful for you too, old friend. One day our paths will cross and you'll meet my crew when we're all walking around with prick marks on our arm from the Pfizer vaccines. I asked my wife, I said, you gonna take that vaccine? She goes, nope. I was like, aw, we're never gonna have friends. Thank you for swinging by. I'm so glad that you're here. Are you doing better, worse, or the same? Yeah, we're all in that same boat, hanging in. All right. Everybody send positive energy and thoughts towards Melissa right now. She had a loss in her life, and it's a pretty big hole to fill. So we're with you. When you're ready to come back, I'll sing to you again. You pick the song. Appreciate you too. So we tell you when, we tell you how long, we know what direction, we know what time, we know what chop. It's not 100%. And that's what I want to remind everybody. This isn't 100%. This isn't the Holy Grail. It's not. It really isn't. But what it does is it warns us when something fishy is about to come our way. It alerts us in the future, 24/7. It's a radar detector that's here to alert us and say, hey, be careful. The people who screw everybody are about to do it again. Maybe. And just be careful. And you're like, wow, okay, I'll do that. So, any questions about this? I didn't look at ZN. That was the last one that we were supposed to look at. And if you trade bonds, you're kind of crazy from the get-go. And one of the things that I want to encourage you, if you're using bonds, don't use such a low swing strength. Use a larger swing strength on the bonds. And if anything, let's go to regular trading hours only on the data series, so we don't have the crazy Globex stuff. Here we go. So here, who asked for the bonds on the 5-minute chart? Let's go down to a 10 swing strength from a 15. There we go. So here's the notes rather on a 5-minute time frame. The notes, Melissa loves the notes and the bonds. She used to get in there and was really good at it. So we can use those signals here. 1 minute ES. Okay, for everybody on this webinar that owns the software, these are the settings that I'm using for everything. On Thursdays, I keep the settings for every single market. I'm going to tell you, Bruce, hang tight. Swing strength 8, 714.00, 1.5 on the vol stop. That's it, Wayne. Swing strength of 8, 714.00, calendar days, 1.5 on the vol stop. That's what I've used everywhere here tonight so far. So Bruce, Chin, David, this is the part where I offer you something and you reject me. On our website, the product that everybody buys because of the value that it has and the wonderful stuff that it does is called the TachEon Warp. This is our flagship product right here. This is what I demonstrate. I'm the founder of the company. This is the one that everyone starts with and uses and has wonderful daydreams about when they're sitting watching television. TachEon Warp works everywhere from 30-second charts, 1-minute charts, all the way out to daily charts and weekly charts for predictions. Bruce, this is a basic version of Warp that doesn't work as well. And what I'm about to do is give you Warp for the price of Prime. I take the Warp product and I give everyone a coupon or promo code in a few minutes to make it a no-brainer. Alpha is the lunar stuff that I was showing you. It's not suitable for intraday trading. And Force is a 10K product that's only available really to customers who have advanced timing experience and/or customers who've been in this for a while. So Bruce, this is really what everybody gets right here, 95% of people. And let me get rid of my crazy chicken scratch. Some Freudian information in there. Just so you know, we've had 52 reviews so far on our Trustpilot webpage. If you would like to review us as a customer, you're here this week, please go ahead and click on that link in the chat box. Get in there and visit. Our last review was Tom and Kathy over on November 12th, giving you some insight on their experiences since joining. And you can kind of see here, Bruce, that we have a pretty good track record, mostly with customer service. And we love our customers. They're family to us. We're invested in them and in their success. And I'm very grateful to those of you who've taken the time. Ron and I and Rachel, all of us are very appreciative that you've spent the time going through here and sharing your experiences so that guys like Bruce and David and Chin can feel comfortable when they come on board. When you click on the Warp product, that's our flagship product. That's the big one. All right, that's our Heinz ketchup, 57 varieties. At the bottom of this page, Bruce, I'm going to paste the link to it in your GoToWebinar chat box. Can you tell me when it pops in on your side? Tell me when that comes in. Okay, cool. At the very bottom of that page, this is the traditional weekly scrolling of the page. There is a giant Willy Wonka golden orange ticket. And you'll see in the corner here, it says $24.95, but don't worry, that's a lie. It's a deception. Thank you, Brian. If you click on that button, a couple things happen. I don't want you to be scared. If you are the kind of person who wants your hand held for a little while, we have a training room that meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week from 8 to 12. And our moderators are people who've trade lighted money. They're actual traders. They use the software, and they're there to show you the setups and the basic entries and exits, help you with the settings, go through all of it. Okay, so 3 days a week, they're looking at the markets that you guys are watching. They're analyzing them on the large time frames and the small time frames. If you want that, if you need that, it's available. If you don't want it, you're not obligated to get it. Some people like having that option. You can cancel anytime. It's a month-to-month thing. It's $95 a month. It works out to, I think, like $3 an hour. You pay your babysitter more. If you don't want it, go to the checkout without the pro training room, and you'll see this giant purchase agreement. We promise to take care of you, fix any bugs, make sure that if anything is broken, we'll fix it. We make sure that you know if you are a professional hedge fund, we're going to shut your license down. I want you to make sure you're not using a Commodore 64 when you first get set up. Any computer that was bought in the last 5 years in a big box store is going to run the software, no problem. All right, and then there's the government disclaimer. Make sure you know that trading is a fairly risky thing. You can lose more than your principal investment. So all that kind of stuff is there. We click through it. We get past the X. And now, Bruce, we are moments away, David, Chin, from your rejection. Hang on. I'm girded for it today. With your purchase, you're going to get 2 computer licenses for NinjaTrader. Let me come over here. And I don't know why it's not typing. NinjaTrader 7 or 8. Those are 2 computer licenses. These are lifetime updates for free. You're going to get free installation. So we will install the program, make sure that it's running okay, make sure that you're happy from day one. There are no issues, no conflicts, everything's good. There's never a conflict, but it's always nice to know someone's watching when we're putting it in at first. Then you get 2 one-on-one training sessions. 2 one-on-one training sessions. Now pay attention, David, this is important for you. Chin, you asked the question, how do I know which settings to use, each market, each time frame? We're going to log on to your computer and build your charts for free. So we're going to build out all your templates and all your workspaces. We're going to record the entire session so you can go back and review it with your archive. You end up getting about an hour and a half per session. So it's about 3 hours of one-on-one time to get you squared away and set up with the software. Now, in addition to that, there is a video training archive. So if you want to go back and learn things on your own without us staring over your sweaty shoulder, you're welcome to do that as well. And that's available for the lifetime of your purchase. In addition to that, here we go. Promo code time. I'm so excited. The promo code is lowercase WARPOFF. 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 Whiskey, Alpha, Radio, Papa, Oscar, Foxtrot, Foxtrot. When you plug that in and hit apply, Bruce, the angels sing. A sunbeam descends from upon high. The Almighty is pleased. Our undying gratitude is activated, and you receive a discount for $500. So it reduces the price of Warp to the price of Prime. So you're getting our best intraday, daily, weekly institutional behavior pattern predictive program for the cost of our entry-level program. Any questions about this fantastic deal no one is about to take because you don't believe anything you just saw? I'm just kidding. If you have any questions, if you have PayPal and you want to break it up, PayPal has a 6-month interest-free payment plan thing going on right now. You can go into PayPal if you have PayPal, and you can actually take advantage of PayPal's payment plan option. And they'll spread it out over the next 6 months interest-free if you want to go into the new year with that. If you have any questions whatsoever, we have an in-house person. He is a live trader. He is a customer. He has a dog who's amazing. He's funny. And he has a phone number too. Area code 802-427-4123. Brian is a recent addition to our in-house support staff. He helps me with all sorts of things, with training, getting customers introduced to the products, coordinating people getting set up, sales questions, payment plan questions, things like that. If you have a question, especially after you get set up, if you want to talk to someone, Brian actually has qualified for the, am I speaking out of turn when I say this? Can I say it, or do you want me to keep it quiet? Can I mention the one thing? Brian has actually qualified for the Top Step Trader Combine. And he can speak to that if you're interested in getting qualified to trade a funded account using the signals and the software and the techniques that he's mastered over the time that he's been with us. So he's a great resource for those of you who want to know more about how to use your existing product, and for those of you that want to work with somebody who's been through the process as a customer and the training and the support. Again, we have a 4.7 out of 5 product rating via Trustpilot, verified purchases with customers who've gone through the experience. You've seen for yourself using signals that were given to you 2 days ago that the markets you were interested in, the NASDAQ, the E-mini S&P, pumpkin futures, all of it were predictable within a 60 to 70% window of accuracy. We talked a little bit about the why and why markets move a certain way, and we talked about iPods and the moon and Steve Jobs and JP Morgan, and we discovered that people as a whole are predictably vulnerable. You have a chink in your armor. You have a blind spot. Institutions have known about your blind spot for over a century. This program is a rear view mirror to keep you from backing over your own account. And when they're ready to push the button and do something nefarious, you're sitting there ready to go. When they make money, you make money. When they lose money, you lose money. When they buy and sell, you're there and you know how long to hold it, what direction, what time to start looking for your signal. So David, Bruce, Chin, Darcy, who's already gone, I would love your order. I would love to work with you. I would love to have you on our team. Please carefully consider if we're a good fit for you. This is the point in the sales book where they tell you you're supposed to ask for the order. We're horrible salespeople, so please buy our product with this promo code that's available. And if you have any questions, let Brian know, and he can help you with your install. He can help you get started. We have so many resources. You just got to take that step and decide not to be a victim anymore. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up here today? I know you've been here a little longer than normal. We usually stop after an hour. I've learned to start talking faster because some of you said I talk too slow in prior webinars. Stanley, you think Brian could talk to you a little bit about that? He could work with you in a one-on-one via Zoom and show you some stuff. Are you up for that? The moving average, David, is a 120 period exponential moving average, Echo Michael Alpha, EMA. Okay, can we, I usually ask for the customer's numbers, but they never give it. He'll reach out to you, Stanley, no worries. And I completely understand. Remember tonight as you leave that you saw me give the times out 2 days in advance. When we got to those times in the actual marketplace, and Stanley, it's probably as simple as it can be right here. We knew, Stanley, 2 days in advance before the NQ opened today, when the banks were going to push prices higher and when they were going to push prices lower. I'm not sure what more you need to know beyond that. It's not any harder or simpler than that. If you would like to know those times, we can give them to you and you can be a better trader. Some of you like rolling the dice. You like the pain. You're used to losing. You're resigned to stick with the devil that you dance with. You have the tools that you've bought over the years. You're scared to try something new. You've been burned by all these other Jacamos over the years. Sometimes it's too late for us to help a customer. And on behalf of everybody here that still has a soul, I apologize on behalf of the people that didn't. And I'm sorry that they took your money. They never supported you. They gave you a piece of crap and left you alone. But we're not those people. Okay. May the sun shine on your face. May the warm winds blow at your back. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains lay low before you on your journey as you move forward towards health and joy, prosperity, and peace. Keep the faith in these tumultuous times. A day is coming when we can all come outside and see each other. Take care of yourselves, guard your health, guard your mental health especially. Make time to get away from the noise, get away from the TVs and the computers. This is a great time of year with those of you that have the option. Be around the people that you love. Do it safely. Do it responsibly. Have the gratitude that we have in our hearts for all of you, for everyone that we care about, who cares about us, family and friends. We are grateful and have appreciation for all of you that are customers right now. We're going to continue to be good. We're going to get better at supporting you, providing tools that give you an edge statistically in a market that is corrupt beyond imagination. But with discipline, with money management, and with the times that we can provide you, opportunities for profit are available. Have a great weekend. I'm going to get ready to start packing up and freezing my butt off so I can eat undercooked hot dogs and beanie weenies and burn my shoes by a giant campfire that I can't feel because my toes are frozen. But these are the moments and the memories that last with the kids that we have, and I'm going to try to do the best I can and may even have a little fun. We'll see. I'll catch you guys next week. Welcome on board to our new customers again. Chin, David, Bruce, Stanley, thank you for your interest. Please prayerfully consider signing up with us. I promise it won't be a decision you regret. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.